Good day everyone, we are the Group S and I am Tricia and R. Angeles, followed by
I'm Ara Alcantara. I'm Leia Herrera. Jenny Lynn May Rosales.
and our report entitled Safety and Security. Our lesson objectives is about define disaster management, identify the Philippines disaster, and how the youth can help in disaster preparedness. Disaster. It is a disturbance of a normal condition. This will cause damage to lives, properties, and geographical contour of the area depending on the magnitude effect. Disasters happen when communities alone cannot manage an emergency resulting from hazards using their own resources. Disaster happens unexpected. It is a calamitous event bringing a great damage, loss, or destruction. An example of disasters are floods, typhoon, earthquake, fire, landslides, and so on. Some of the disasters are man-made and some are by nature or natural accident.
Disaster risk reduction and management is a range of activities, preparedness, mitigation, prevention, emergency response, recovery that contribute to increasing capacities and reducing immediate and long-term vulnerabilities to prevent or at least minimize the damaging impact in a community.
We're going to plan, so if in case that we know already that there is incoming a disaster, we have to plan, so there should be a disaster recovery plan. Take note the word disaster recovery plan, so for us to minimizing the risk of disaster. We cannot stop the disaster, but actually we can minimize that risk.
How the youth help in disaster preparedness. First, sharing the message. You can help share the message of disaster preparedness. So, you can share that something that is legit first. Galing sa pag-asa yung message. share mo siya sa mga tao. Second, acting as change makers. You can act as change makers by sharing information you've learned in youth preparedness programs and helping parents and communities to prepare for disaster. For example, by developing disaster plan or disaster preparation kit. You learn how to prepare, particularly if there has disaster. So first, what you learn from school, you can teach to your family and to your barangay. Third, bringing creativity. Youth can bring creative and resourceful ideas to disaster preparedness efforts. First, your creativity.
Introduction. This area involves disaster preparedness during fire, earthquake, or other calamities that needs immediate response from any trained civilians during emergency situations. Basic life-saving seminar, fire drill, and like are some of these examples. As we all know, Philippines' location is on the Pacific Ring of Fire and along the Pacific Typhoon Belt. Ibig sabihin ay nakakaranas ang Pilipinas ng natural na disasters tulad ng bagyo, lindol, sunog, volcanic eruptions at iba pa. Dito sa safety and securities, pag-uusapan natin ang disaster preparedness kapag may kalamidad tulad ng mga nabanggit kanina. Kung paano natin paghahandaan at kapag nangyari na ano ang dapat na gawin, pagkatapos ng pangyayari ano dapat natin gawin at kung ano aksyon ang pwede natin gawin sa ibang biktima. What is safety and security? Why it is important? We need to decipher the problem we are facing. Then we can solve problems and quickly generate as many new ideas as possible. Safety and security lie at the heart of the prosperity of any nation. Citizens want to feel safe, protected from risk or injury, and secure, free from danger or threat. but today security is challenged in all aspects of our daily lives and trust in the institutions that should keep us safe is low. Earthquake. How to stay safe during earthquake and why it's important. Stay away from outer walls, windows, fireplace, and hanging objects if you are unable to move from a bed or chair. Protect yourself from falling objects by covering up with blankets and pillows. If you are outside, go to an open area away from trees, telephone poles, and buildings, and stay there. Preparation can cut down on the loss of lives, which is why you should have a plan in place in case there is an earthquake. You can come up with a plan easily if you go through earthquake preparation training. Practicing earthquake drill is one of the disaster risk reduction. Nare-reduce niya yung panganib. Nare-reduce niya yung panganib dahil na-practice na natin at may alam na tayo sa gagawin. Napaka-importante rin at wag kakalimutan ang duck, cover, and hold at kinakailangan na maging clear ang exit ways.
Fire. How to stay safe during fire and why is it important? Install smoke alarm on every level of your home, inside bedrooms and outside sleeping areas. Test smoke alarms every month. If they are not working, change the batteries. Talk with all family members about a fire escape plan and practice the plan twice a year. If a fire occurs in home, get out, stay out, and call for help. Never go back inside for anything or anyone. Fire safety reduces the risk of injury and building damage that fires can cause. Developing and implementing fire safety protocols in the workplace is not only required by law, but it is crucial to everyone's safety that may be in the building during a fire emergency. Fire drills are an essential component of any fire safety procedure for a number of reasons, including making sure that employees, clients, family members, and other visitors to your premises understand what to do in the event of fire, testing the effectiveness of your evacuation plan, and assisting you in improving any aspects of your fire provisions that are ineffective. For the sake of everyone's safety, a fire drill should be conducted as a simulation of a true emergency situation.
Typhoon. How to stay safe during typhoon. Why it's important. Stay indoors during the hurricane and away from windows and glass doors. Close all interior doors, secure and brace external door. Keep curtains and blinds closed. Do not be fooled if there is a lull. It could be the eye of the storm and winds will pick up again. Know where all the evacuation routes are. Prepare a disaster supply kit for your home and car. Have
enough food and water for at least 3 days, including a first aid kit, have some cash handy, banks and ATMs may be temporarily closed. Being prepared can reduce fear, anxiety, and losses that accompany disasters. Communities, families, and individuals should know what to do in the event of a fire and where to seek shelter during a powerful storm. Typhoon is defined as a tropical cyclone with a maximum wind of 34 knots or higher. A tropical cyclone with a maximum wind of less than 34 knots is called a tropical depression. Difference between two types of tropical cyclones are just if the maximum wind is less than or above the threshold of 34 knots. Tropical cyclone, also called typhoon or hurricane, an intense circular storm that originates over warm tropical oceans and is characterized by low atmospheric pressure, high winds, and heavy rain. The damage caused by a typhoon depends mainly on three related aspects: wind speed, flooding and or excess rainfall, and storm surge. We must know the before, during, and after typhoon to keep ourselves safe and aware.
landslides. How to stay safe during landslide. Why it's important. Stay away from and do not let children play near cliff edges and steep slopes, especially after heavy rains. Call your local police or public works if you see a slide or sinkholes. Do not enter caves or sinkholes that may collapse further or be filled with deadly poisonous natural gases. If you do get stuck in the path of landslide, move uphill as quickly as possible. Avoid river, valley, and low-lying areas during times of danger. If we alert for any sudden increase or decrease in water flow or water that changes from clear to mud, landslides statistics represent after earthquake and other external driving forces of natural disaster, which cause ayan, the most significant number of victims and damage. Built built up areas in fact infrastructures, environmental, historical, and cultural assets. Learn and be alert to early warning signs. Evacuate immediately if landslide is likely. If you cannot evacuate and are inside, curl into a ball and protect your head. Prepare for secondary risks such as flooding, downed power lines, and damaged buildings.
Importance of disaster preparedness. Disaster strikes in every corner of the world during every season and on the different scales throughout the year. Indeed, hospitals, food banks, human and animal shelters, and other non-profits are integrated into most response and recovery efforts during emergencies. These events are often unexpected by their very nature, leaving little time to prepare. That is why it is important to put time into planning and preparation long before the disaster strikes. Floods are the most common and widespread of all natural disasters. Most communities in the world will experience some degree of flooding after spring rain. Most floods develop slowly over a period of days. However, flash floods develop rapidly and are generally caused by intense storms and dam failures. Checklist. To-do list before the flood. Review the facility emergency action plan with team and keep employees. Ensure that it addresses floods. Perform a site assessment to address securement of chemicals, fuel tanks from flood waters floating and impact of debris caused by flooding. Postpone any receipt of goods, deliveries, couriers, etc. when a flood watch warning has been issued. Ensure you have an emergency communication plan in place prior to the storm evacuation or threat. Establish emergency communication methods such as using an alert notification system, phone tree, or etc. Maintain accurate inventory of assets and products inventory on site. Identify flood prevention resources such as sandbags and drain plugs that can be used to prevent flood waters. Develop a records retention and backup programs to ensure vital businesses records and computer data are not lost during a storm.
गाड़ी भाई के पास ही है। कोई भी नहीं है ना, घर में कोई नहीं है ना, घर में तो कोई नहीं है ना।
To-do list during flash floods. Stay tuned to local media and community messaging and evacuate as directed. Life safety is paramount. Ensure that employees evacuate promptly. Activate the mitigation portion of your business continuity plan. During evacuation, have a central point of contact for all employees and ensure you know where your employees are located. Raise elevators to the second floor and turn off controls and power to system. Take cell phones, charger, critical hardware, and emergency kits to off-site refuge areas. Unplug electrical items and or shut down facility power if possible before evacuating the premises. Consider redirecting your business phones to cell phones to ensure continued services.
मैं क्या बोलूँ पानी में लगा अरे भाई साहब ठीक तो
To-do list after flash floods. Listen for news reports to learn whether the community's water supply is safe to drink. Avoid floodwaters. Water may be contaminated by oil, gasoline, raw sewage, etc. Water may also be electrically charged from underground of down power lines. Be aware of areas where floodwaters have receded. Roads may have weakened and could collapse under the weight of a car. Clean and disinfect everything that got wet. Mud left from floodwater can contain sewage and chemicals. Implement business continuity plan and monitor local authorities' communication. Contact employees via a predetermined method of communication system to advise of next step. Conduct a damage assessment as soon as possible and contact your insurance agent.
putain de merde on a plus l'électricité.
What is a disaster preparedness? Disaster preparedness refers to the preventive measures taken to reduce the severity of a disaster's effects. The goal of disaster preparedness is to lessen the impact of disasters on vulnerable populations to ready an organization for an influx of an activity, and to design a coordinated plan that reduces the waste of resources, time, and effort. Disaster preparedness has the potential to save the maximum number of lives and property during a disaster, and it aims to return the affected populations to normalcy as quickly as possible. At the end of this discussion, all I can say is that we people must learn how to prepare, or we must know how to prepare ourselves not only for the disasters but also for every circumstances that will happen.
Now let's have a short quiz. Raise your hand if you want to answer or pwede ring mag-chat sa chat box. First question. A practice of the emergency procedures to be used in case of fire. Fire? Yes, very good. It is giant rotating storm that brings wind, rain, and destruction. Hurricanes and typhoons are both kinds of tropical cyclones. Typhoon. Next po. A sudden and violent shaking of the ground, sometimes causing great destruction as a result of movements within the Earth's crust or volcanic action. Earthquake. It is defined as the movement of a mass of rock, debris, or earth down a slope. Landslides are a type of mass wasting which donates any downslope movement of soil and rock under the direct influence of gravity. Landslide. That's all. Thank you. I hope you can get helpful knowledge from this presentation.